This section is a man presently becomes a subject of a Netflix series by Decker Source. Like, really? So the link to the video will be the description below. Go and check them out. So let's into this section in 3, 2, 1. Oh.
When Jonah Pierce's phone wouldn't stop buzzing on a quiet Saturday morning, he assumed it was spam. But then Riley grabbed his arm, face pale, and turned on the TV.
Yeah.
There was Jonah's face, his pregnant belly, his tears, his most private moments, on the morning news. Netflix's most watched
On the morning news.
series features controversial pregnancy, the headline read. The documentary wasn't supposed to premiere for another month. What was happening? Then his lawyer called. Jonah, we need to talk about the contract you signed. There's something you didn't understand. In that moment, Jonah realized he'd made a terrible mistake, and it was too late to undo it. Jonah Pierce was 33, a high school English teacher in Portland living with his partner Riley. By face he exactly looks like man. Short trimmed hair and trimmed beard. Usually wears t-shirts and hoodies. He'd transitioned from female to male at 25 and had been on testosterone for 8 years. When a pharmacy error left him without medication for 6 weeks, his body reactivated in ways he hadn't anticipated. The pregnancy was discovered at 11 weeks.
Wow.
After agonizing deliberation, Jonah and Riley decided to continue. They wanted a family, and this unexpected pregnancy offered them something they'd assumed would require expensive surrogacy or adoption. Jonah's obstetrician was fascinated by the medical rarity of transgender male pregnancy and asked if he'd participate in a research study. Jonah agreed immediately. His experience could help future patients and doctors. That's when she mentioned a documentary filmmaker interested in telling his story. Caroline Webb was an acclaimed documentary filmmaker known for sensitive portraits of marginalized communities.
Really?
She proposed documenting Jonah's pregnancy journey, the medical aspects, emotional challenges, and experience of navigating pregnancy as a man. The film would be educational and respectful. Netflix was interested in distributing it. The compensation was substantial, enough to cover all medical expenses and provide financial security for their growing family. After weeks of negotiation, Jonah signed the contracts. Filming would begin at 16 weeks and continue through birth and postpartum. Jonah believed he was making an educational documentary that would help people understand transgender experiences.
Yeah.
He had no idea what he was actually creating. The small camera crew filmed several days each week, doctor's appointments, conversations between Jonah and Riley, quiet domestic moments, and interviews where Jonah reflected on his experiences. Caroline was skilled at creating comfortable environments. Jonah quickly adapted to the cameras and shared vulnerable moments, crying after seeing his pregnant reflection, conversations with his therapist about dysphoria, attempts to maintain masculine presentation while his belly swelled. Jonah shared these moments because he believed they'd help other transgender people feel less alone. He trusted Caroline to handle them sensitively. The pregnancy progressed normally medically, but Jonah experienced profound gender dysphoria. His masculine body, doing something culturally coded as female, created a psychological disconnect that was brutal. Caroline captured it all. At 37 weeks, Jonah went into labor. The cameras had been on standby, ready to document everything. After 14 hours of labor, complications required an emergency cesarean section. Caroline asked if cameras could be in the operating room. Jonah, exhausted and in pain, nodded consent without fully processing what he was agreeing to. They filmed the surgery, the cutting, baby Emma being lifted from Jonah's body, his tears of relief and joy and trauma. Emma's entire birth was captured in graphic detail for millions of future viewers. In the moment, Jonah didn't think about that. He was focused on his daughter. Later, he would remember the cameras differently and feel sick. After 3 weeks of postpartum filming, the crew left. Life returned to normalcy. Jonah focused on Emma, on healing, on building their family. Caroline sent occasional emails about post-production and a few scene clips that seemed respectful. Months passed. Emma grew. Jonah prepared to return to teaching. The filming began to feel like a strange but positive experience that was now complete. Then Caroline called. The series would premiere on Netflix in 6 weeks. Magazine covers and talk show appearances were arranged. Jonah felt uneasy about the publicity, but Caroline assured him it was necessary. What she didn't mention was how the documentary had been edited, or how Netflix's marketing team was planning to promote it, or that
Really?
Jonah's life was about
Netflix?
to explode. 2 weeks before the official premiere, Jonah woke to his phone buzzing incessantly. Riley stood frozen in front of the TV. On the morning news was a clip from the documentary.
Oh.
Jonah's pregnant belly exposed, crying in his bathroom, dramatic narration describing his controversial journey. The anchor was debating whether Netflix had gone too far. The series wasn't supposed to premiere for 2 more weeks. Why were clips already circulating? His lawyer called urgently. Netflix accidentally released it early to press reviewers. Someone leaked it. But that's not the main
Whoa. Someone leaked it. Wow.
problem. Have you read your full contract? Section 14.7 subsection C. Jonah felt ice in his stomach. What do you mean? You gave Netflix complete editorial control. You approved scenes, but they had
Whoa.
the right to edit and arrange them however they wanted. Jonah, what they've created isn't what you thought you were making. When Becoming a Father's Journey officially premiered, Jonah watched in horror. The 6-episode series had been edited for maximum drama. Conversations were rearranged, context removed, moments repeated with dramatic music. Riley was portrayed as uncertain about the pregnancy. Jonah's family
Whoa.
members appeared to struggle with his choices in ways that emphasized conflict. The birth episode showed everything in graphic detail: Jonah's screaming, the surgery, Emma's delivery in close-up. This wasn't documentary. This was reality television disguised as serious filmmaking. Netflix's
Yes.
marketing was worse. Trailers showed the most shocking moments.
Wow.
The tagline, "One man, one pregnancy," the journey that changed everything. It was
Yeah.
sensationalized, exploitative, designed to maximize viewership. And it worked. Within 48 hours, the series became the most watched on Netflix globally. 60 million
Wow.
households streamed it in the first weekend.
Wow, really?
Jonah's face was
That's a lot.
everywhere. Clips went viral. Memes were created from his vulnerable moments. His birth footage was shared across platforms. Responses were divided. Some praised it as representation. Others called it exploitation. Transphobic harassment flooded social media. Conservative media used clips against transgender rights. Jonah couldn't leave his apartment without being recognized. Students at his school had watched it. Parents complained. His principal suggested extended unpaid leave, a polite firing. The exposure destroyed Jonah's relationships. His parents, already uncomfortable with his transition, couldn't handle the public nature of the documentary. His
Wow.
mother called crying about being unable to show her face in their small hometown. His father requested Jonah stop using their family name publicly. His younger sister was being bullied at college because of the show. She asked him not to contact her. Riley struggled too. He'd never wanted television exposure.
Oh, really?
Arguments between them became frequent and bitter. The invasion of privacy and realization they'd sold their story for money that now seemed like blood money created wounds that might never heal. The worst realization built slowly. 60 million people had watched Emma being born. Her face was cataloged online. Her birth was entertainment. When she was old enough, she'd be able to watch herself being delivered via cesarean section on Netflix. She'd see her father's most vulnerable moments. She'd read the articles, comments, and debates about whether her family should exist. Jonah had turned his daughter's entry into the world into content. The guilt was crushing and permanent. 3 months after premiere, public opinion shifted. Critical essays questioned the ethics. Had Jonah truly provided informed consent? Had Netflix exploited a vulnerable person for profit? A documentary ethics professor
In
argued
Netflix,
genuine
so
consent
I don't
was
know.
impossible with such power imbalances. Jonah couldn't have known how footage would be edited and marketed. Netflix released defensive statements. Caroline Webb claimed she'd treated the story with care. But damage to Jonah was done and irreversible. A year later, Jonah worked remotely, never showing his face on video calls. His relationship with Riley survived, but was fundamentally changed. They'd moved to a different city and lived quietly, carefully. His family relationships remained fractured. The financial compensation had paid bills and created a college fund for Emma. But Jonah would have given every penny back. He'd wanted to help people understand transgender experiences. Instead, he became a cautionary tale about the price of visibility. 18 months after premiere, Jonah did one interview with a small transgender advocacy podcast. He explained how the documentary had been marketed versus what it became, how the contract buried crucial details, how the
Mm.
provided lawyer had a conflict of interest. He talked about the difference between visibility and exploitation. He warned others to be careful about who controls narratives.
True.
Most importantly, he talked about Emma, about the guilt of documenting her birth for entertainment, about trying to figure out how to explain this to her someday. The interview reached a small audience. It didn't go viral. It didn't undo damage. But Jonah needed to say it anyway. Today, Emma is 3 years old. She loves books and dancing. She has no idea millions watched her birth, that her face is archived forever on Netflix. One day, she'll find out.
Mm.
Jonah dreads that day with everything in him. He participated in a documentary to help people and provide for his family. Instead, he became a warning about what happens when private life becomes public entertainment.
True.
Becoming a father's journey is still streaming. It won awards. New viewers discover it regularly. And Jonah can't make it disappear. So here's my question. When you watch documentaries about real people, do you think about who controls the story? Do you
Yeah.
consider what subjects sacrificed for your entertainment?
Yeah.
Do you wonder if they understood what they agreed to? If you were offered
Yeah.
money to
True.
document the most
Yep.
vulnerable moment of your life, knowing millions would watch, would you do
Yeah.
it? Drop your thoughts below. Because every story you
I might.
consume was someone's real life. And sometimes the cost of telling that story is higher than anyone should pay. The
Yep.
cameras eventually leave, but the
Mm.
footage lives forever. And
Yeah.
so do the
True.
consequences.
Yeah. That's true too. Wow. That was a mess presently become the subject of a Netflix series by JethroCool. Now link to the video will be the participants below. Go and check them out and drop a like if you like and comment below if you want to see more reaction like this one and subscribe if you're new and click the bell so you can be notified when upload and when post and go live and I'm out. Bye. Wow.